How you doing, everybody? I'm here to talk to you today about the Xenith X2 football helmet. Just recently purchased this for my son, and I'm going to talk to you about it from a parent perspective. I purchased this for my son. He'll be a senior in high school. He plays middle linebacker and fullback. He's pretty known as a pretty big hitter, so I was always concerned about, like every parent, the concussions and everything that's going on. And I'm a firm believer that no helmet is concussion proof or will stop a concussion. Proper technique is always the best way to do that. But uh, still, I looked at technology changes and things that have come up over the years, and it always just really blew my mind. In some ways, I kind of used to laugh and say, my son would come back from football practice like the first couple of weeks and be like, oh, my head hurts, my helmet's killing me, and you just suck it up. That's the way it's supposed to be. Your helmet's not fitting you properly unless it's squeezing your head. Uh, and then I kind of like sat there and thought, why? That's kind of crazy. Why would you put your head in a vice grip? Squeeze it until it hurts, and then expect the you know hit the vice grip and not think it's going to hurt your head. It just never seemed to make any sense to me. But then, we were at a football camp and we saw the X2 helmet, and immediately just, it was kind of like a light went on in my head even. I said, why isn't more helmets like this? Um, the I have my old football helmet when I was a kid, and I looked at the insides of that, and I looked at some of the newer helmets that are out today, and really, to be honest, I don't see much of a difference. I mean, still that, there's different types of padding and different, foams, but it's still foam padding up against the shell all the way to your head. And it just never seemed to make much sense. Um, Now I looked at the X2 helmet, and the helmet is radically different. I don't know how well you can see on this, but the inside of the helmet has a bonnet, and that bonnet gets strapped to the player's head. As you'll see, there's a lot of free space in around the helmet. What that means is that the bonnet and all the pads are strapped to the kid's head, and the bonnet is free to move a little bit around the impacts. So if an impact comes in off the side of the helmet, it's just going to move the shell of the helmet a little bit and not transfer that force in through the pads and into the player's head. It's kind of going back to the old suspension days of the helmets, but with a much more effective technology. Each one of those are little airbags that are going to compress and deflate based on the amount of hit that comes into the player's head. As well, and this is a big one, when we first bought the helmet and we put it on, my son said, and I'm looking at it, didn't fit him. And I thought, this is crazy, I got the wrong size. But each one of these pads, it's hard to see right here, but each one of these little black pads in there, they're velcroed in, and you can adjust by just pulling it out and putting in. They come with little extra discs that you can custom fit the helmet to fit your head. Now, when you take delivery of it for the first time and go to put it on, right at the top, there's those two pads right there. Those two come with a big 4-pad configuration thing, like an extra pad. We didn't know that, and when we put it on his head, we just, the helmet wouldn't come down on his head low enough, and it was staying about up here. And we realized it was because there's those extra pads, and we pop them out, put it on his head, and it was fine. So that's kind of the first thing, is when you do unpack the thing, make sure that you adjust your pads properly to fit you. The big thing with the helmet that sold me on it, of course, was the safety rating on it. Virginia Tech came out with his new safety rating this year, and the X2 helmet actually got the best rating that they give. It was one of a few helmets that was that way. The second best thing was it was also the cheapest of all those helmets that were in the 5-star rating. This we picked up for $235. And that was, chin strap, face mask, everything included. So, as far as the price went, it was very economical for us. The safety on it was very important. But more important to me was just, the technology and the whole thing. Uh, it had to be important. The technology in the helmet is far superior to any of the helmets that I think that are on the market. Now, I'm not a doctor and I'm not claiming to. I'm just a parent, um, but it's just logical. I mean, I look at it. Uh, the bonnet actually fits snug to the player's head, and the chin strap is actually lined all the way through the bonnet. So when the player goes to pull their chin strap in, the bonnet tightens around the player's head, so that all the pads are tight up against the player's head, kind of like what they say, oh, make sure it fits tight. Uh, but it's free to roam within that helmet, which then makes it really nice. According to my son, it's like air conditioning. He's worn it now for 7 prospect football camps for colleges. Uh, and what he mentioned was, it was getting pretty hot down in North Carolina and stuff like that during the summer. That these air vents in the back, and I know a lot of the helmets have them, but because of the way the padding is, and it's the whole helmet filled with pads, the air vents really don't do too much. But with this, because of the way the bonnet floats on the head, he's like every time the wind blows, he'd just move his head a little bit, and he would feel the whole air go all the way around his head and cool him off. And I did notice that when he would take off his helmet, he wasn't as sweaty on the top as some of the other kids that would take off their helmets. Of course, I yelled at him because I didn't think he was running hard enough. But then I looked at his shirt and realized, yeah, he was running. The Probably the biggest thing that also impresses me with the helmet is, I asked my son, so what do you think of the helmet? And he's amazed at when he takes his helmet off. He goes the whole practice. He went the whole day. And these are camps from like 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And he would go the whole day with his helmet on. And this is the first time he's worn a helmet, in 8, 9 months or 6 months or whatever. And no complaints. In fact, he says it's like wearing a baseball hat. It's extremely comfortable. It doesn't squeeze on your head, yet it's very safe and tight to the head. But it's not, like those hard pads that are crushing in, and you have the big red marks on your forehead when you take your helmet off. The helmet just fits very comfortable, and because of that, he actually claims that the helmet's lighter. But I think I've looked at the reports, and I think they're all about the exact same weight, maybe a few, like maybe an ounce or something difference, but nothing major. But he swears that the helmet's lighter. It fits him better. It's more comfortable. And I'm sold on the safety of it. I know a lot of people probably were afraid of it because it's such a radical design change from helmets that are currently out there right now. But I gotta say, the type of helmets that are out there right now, that have been out there, aren't that much of a difference from the helmets I used back in the '70s. So. I kind of look at it now and say, I think it's time for the change. I think, this type of a design inside has been long due. One more big thing with this I just thought of was the chin strap. From what I understand, I looked at the X1 helmet. I didn't realize there was a difference. The X1 was their first helmet they came out with. The differences between the X1 and the X2 are incredible. There's a huge difference between the two helmets. All the insides of the helmet, the concept is kind of the same, but with the X2 they added all those little pads so that you can pull them out, wash them, put extra ones in to customize the fit. The chin strap was a major improvement over the last time. They had a hard chin strap before, that you tighten down on your chin. But if you were hit, and I had my son's had this experience with his. We had the little gel chin strap on there before with a different helmet, and whenever you get a hard hit, up underneath the chin or whatever, the chin strap would, with the sweat, slide off your face, and then the helmet would either come up, rip you up the face, or come off. Now with the new rules in high school football, it's absolutely critical that your helmet doesn't come off. You don't want it coming off in any little hit, or you have to sit out to play. So it's really important that the helmet not come off. One of the things that this chin strap is it's a soft chin strap inside. It's actually a dual chin strap. It's a soft chin strap inside that will fit tightly to your chin and form to your chin, not just a standard chin. And then there's the hard cup around it. That's an extra cup to protect from, obviously a helmet coming up or something like that, or a foot kicking in the chin. But it's the best of both worlds. It's the hard cup protection with the soft cup being able to form to your chin and actually keep the helmet in place. Because the chin strap is such a integral part of the fitting of the helmet, I believe that we'll see a lot less of these popping off of kids' heads during the game than you do with a lot of the other current helmets that are out there right now. I know my son's team uses the Xenith Ion 4D helmet, and we've had a lot of problems with the kids' helmets popping off. It also feels like it's an extremely heavy helmet compared to this. And again, it's back to there isn't much of a difference as far as the weight goes when you weigh the two of them, but I guess the balancing of it or whatever makes this helmet feel a lot less. Other than that, we look forward to having a great season with it. Helmets are, I've always thought helmets are helmets, and they're all the same type of design and concepts. And there's been a few radical changes, with the Xenith Ion 4D. They had the face mask that goes into the side of the helmet and actually works as a shock absorber. We've had a lot of problems with them, actually. The little rubber grommets coming out, popping out of the helmet. Kids having to come off and switch helmets so that we could fix them real quick and get them back on the field. But this is probably the most radically designed changes that are out there right now in football helmet technology. Look forward to using it, and we'll give you an update after the season. Probably be more important. Thank you, and best of luck to everyone out there.